caught my car parked at a hotel and planned a cruel revenge plan to ruin my life. My name is Cindy Rogan, female 33, and my husband is Jefferson Marrow, male 35. You know, I remember the night I met Jefferson like it was yesterday. The art exhibit was buzzing with chatter, but he stood out, a beacon in a sea of monotonous small talk. His laugh was infectious, and when our eyes met, I felt a jolt of excitement, a feeling I hadn't experienced in years. Jefferson and I settled into a comfortable routine that makes you forget there are fireworks in the sky. Moments with Jefferson were like discovering a secret world where passion was language. I didn't plan to kiss him that night when we went out for drinks after the exhibition. It just happened, a whirlwind of emotion and longing that swept off my feet. I was drowning in his eyes, and for a moment I didn't want to be saved. We got into a relationship. We were so inseparable. We would go together to exhibitions and sometimes buy art that he was sponsoring and help those who were in need. After we had officialized our relationship, we enjoyed our dating phase for a couple of months up until he proposed on the 14th of February. Then we got married during summer holidays in June, and I was the happiest girl alive. Our marriage was a bliss. I had everything that I had asked for. I had a loving, caring, and supportive husband. A few months later in our marriage, Jefferson and I had a talk about starting a family, and I was more than ready to start my own family with Jeff. That's how I used to call him, and have our own mini-us. But in order for that to happen, Jeff had asked me to take an early retirement at work, saying that I should get enough rest so that my body can be able to carry a child. I knew that if I were to retire or resign from my job early, Jeff was going to take good care of me. Already I was getting enough allowance from Jeff for just being his wife. I was no longer using my work salary because my husband had been taking care of me financially. I never lacked anything, from intimacy to pampering, Jeff's time and attention. Till today, I'm still trying to figure out what drove me to be living two lives while I had everything and more that I was getting from Jeff. Time passed. I was starting to get bored in the house. Jeff was always busy at work, and it wasn't easy for him to give me much attention anymore because his construction business had been growing so fast and getting so many projects to do. They had a lot of building to do since they are in building construction. I was happy that my husband's businesses were going well because it meant more money was coming in, but it was really affecting our relationship. Our relationship had started to be all about him and his work and the projects that they were doing. I won't lie, it was kind of boring sometimes to me because it was always about work. Even if we were on a dinner table, he would be speaking about his upcoming project and the houses that he has to renovate for his real estate business, or the artist he wants to sponsor. My husband is very determined and a hard worker, but sometimes I would miss him, you know. I would miss his touch, his jokes, and everything. One day I downloaded a dating app because I was bored and I needed someone who could give me some action. I was tired of helping myself sexually. So as I was scrolling, I met a handsome guy whose name was Eric Peterson, male 33. When I looked through the guy's profile, I was really taken. I mean, he was what I needed in a man. He was slim fit with fair complexion and sexy green eyes. He made me feel wet just by looking at his pictures. So the guy sent me a text and we started talking through the app. Our conversations were flowing. It was like we had known each other for a very long time. We had chemistry, you know, the connection was there. We spoke for a couple of days and we had also exchanged numbers, so we were chatting on WhatsApp Messenger mostly. We had done some video calls, well, not just normal video calls, but those nasty and freaky video calls. I had thought that that man was just for me. Eric and I had the same desires and we connected in a way that I can't even explain. Weeks passed, Eric and I had met twice, and to say I was taken by the guy's action would be an understatement. He was on top of this world. I'm not saying my husband didn't have action, but he was always busy, and I was not getting anything from him anymore except for his money and a few kisses here and there, but it was seriously boring. I needed some intimacy, someone who would be able to take me to another planet and make me see the ninth cloud. Since Jeff wasn't there to help me with my desires, I used Eric for my satisfaction. The guy made sure that I was overly satisfied and I had reached my climax. That's how our affair started. Well, we started calling our thing an affair when we had seen each other for the third time and both of us couldn't get enough of each other. I was so much into the moment to the point that I even lived a double life. I loved my husband a lot, but I loved what Eric was doing to me more. I had been living a double life, sneaking around behind my husband's back with a man named Eric. Their affair had been going on for months, hidden beneath layers of lies and deceit. I knew that if Jim was to find out, a lot would be destroyed and lost. I know what I did was really a selfish and greedy move, but my affair with Eric was only for intimacy and nothing more. Yes, there were feelings involved, but I couldn't love him just like I loved my husband. I know I took a wrong turn to deal with the whole thing. I know I shouldn't have fallen in love with the guy that I had met on a dating app, but he was giving me what I had been not getting from my husband. The guy made me feel secure, happy, and alive while my husband was busy with his own thing and focusing more on his business. It was supposed to be a once-off thing, but I got carried away and now karma is dealing with me so bad. Please give me tips on how I should have dealt with this. I still love my husband, but I'm stuck in between a rock and a very hard place. But what was expected of me because my husband was no longer giving me his attention? So as I was at home, I was chatting with Eric. He became a very good destroyer. He made me feel so much at peace, like I was loved. While my husband would shower me with romantic dinners, flowers, and all those materialistic things that I didn't really need. Even our intimate moments were no longer nice because it felt like he was being romantic because he thought it made me happy, but it was not. All I wanted was to be seen, be free, and be appreciated, and that was what Gregory was giving me, the attention. As time went on, I found myself drawn to Eric's youthful energy and zest for life. I began to feel a connection with him that I hadn't felt in a long time. However, I knew that I was married and committed to Jeff. Eric was spending more time together, exploring new ventures. It was fun. I got to be free and be me again. Yes, I needed a friend to pass time with, but I felt something for Eric. Despite my initial intentions to keep things platonic, my feelings for Gregory grew stronger each day. I found myself daydreaming about him and eagerly awaiting our conversations in the dating app since it was where we would communicate because I didn't want my husband to find out about my newly formed friendship with Eric. One day I couldn't resist the temptation any longer. I had to either choose to stay away from Eric and throw away how I feel or I confess everything. So I decided to meet Eric in a restaurant kilometers away from where my house is, just to see if their connection was as strong offline as it was online. They arranged to meet at a local coffee shop, and my heart raced with excitement and guilt. I had many thoughts about my meeting with Eric. I was somehow having second thoughts, but then again I thought that it was just going to be an innocent thing with nothing major. I don't really know what came over me. Lust and craving for something outside your relationship can cause a huge disaster and drift between couples. I craved for something that I was not getting in my relationship. I went outside my perfect imperfect relationship and ruined the only good thing that I had. I regret it and I don't know what to do to fix it. I cheated with the person that I had found on a dating app. I know that I risked not only my marriage but my life also. What if Eric turned out to be a serial killer or an abductor? Now that I got caught, I don't really know how to recover from this. I know I messed up, but can't he at least give me one last chance? I won't deny that I did him wrong, and what I did is unforgivable. I acted like a loose witch who doesn't think before taking action. I knew that my husband loved me too much, but I went ahead and listened to my desires to a point that I even risked myself and had a sexual affair with a total stranger. People are crazy these days. Anything could have happened to me or my family. Thank God that he didn't bless me with any kids because I don't know what they would have learned from me. Sometimes we do things just because of lust or greed, or I don't know how I can put this, but we ladies sometimes do things without thinking, and when karma visits us, we start regretting and end up asking yourself, what is wrong with you, or what if I did this or that? And if I didn't listen to, I wouldn't have gotten myself into this mess. A lot of things start ringing in your mind and reality kicks in like an unexpected tornado. To tell the truth, I regret and will always regret what I did because it showed how weak and not being able to avoid temptation I was. I miss him so much, but there is actually nothing I could do. I messed up and it is not anyone's fault but mine. I had brought this upon myself. My stupid actions cost me my future love. I didn't know, okay? I got tempted only to find out that I got tempted in the wrong place and at the wrong time. Now I'm suffering the consequences. Funny thing that had happened was that whenever I spent time with Eric, he would tell me that one day he would make me his lover, and that we were not going to end up meeting in secret like we were kids. He was a smooth and sweet talker, Yes, I felt the same way as him, but I never thought he was serious about what he said, so I took it as a joke. He would always remind me that one day he was going to fetch me, so I would move with him to Jersey City, where he was residing, and that I was his future lover, but he wanted to fix something first. I took all that as a joke and thought he was just saying everything because he wanted me to feel special, not knowing that he was actually confessing his true feelings, I was pretty much in denial because there was no way a guy like Eric would see a future with just a simple girl like me. I was just a simple and ordinary girl from Aurora who had a good job, good marriage, and everything. But with the greed and desire that I had, I destroyed everything. I was somehow self-doubting myself because of my past. Weeks turned to months. Eric had stopped visiting. I thought he was busy with his girlfriend or maybe a wife from Jersey City. That thought made me kind of jealous because I liked the guy, but he did notice me, and another thing, I missed being in his presence. I think I fell in love with the fact that during those months I tried calling him, but his phone was not going through, which made me worried, and I felt lonely because he had been the best friend with benefits I had never had. But all of a sudden he decided to ghost me. I stayed with the guilt that maybe he saw that I was not feeling him deeply like he did, and decided to stop being friends with benefits with me. But I would ask myself why he didn't tell that to me in the face rather than just ghost me. I was angry at him for acting like a coward. I was kind of disappointed at him for the coward act he did. Little did I know that he had been busy with his job since he was working as a welding inspector was the actual reason why Eric was no longer speaking to me. It saddened me when I found out that the worst part was that I didn't know where Eric stayed. I just knew that he stayed in Jersey City, and that was all. I remember him once when we were chilling in a hotel that we had booked and asked me to help him with some papers. At first I bluntly refused because I was still high in intimacy. Another thing, he had refused to tell me about his line of work. So I was confused by the sudden change of heart. It was just hard buying that. It took him to tell me that he would pay me for my service and that he needed my help with his papers, since I had once worked as a business advisor. Obviously, when money is concerned, I wouldn't hesitate to help him where he needed help. I tried explaining to my father how scared I was of the guy, but decided to talk me out of it, so I eventually agreed. I mean, most of the time I was doing nothing at home. I was bored. Eric was no longer online much, and he had ghosted me all of a sudden. It did sting to me that he had changed on me right when I had thought I had found a friend and a sexual healer of some sort. As much as I loved going out a lot, but I didn't have any friends, and Eric became the friend I had never had. I hated him for going AWOL on me like that. I was also disappointed at myself for pushing the guy away because of my childish actions. After a couple of days, we met again at a restaurant and showed me the papers he wanted me to help him with. We went through them together. I showed him where things were wrong, like the transactions of his business and what made the business delay paying their taxes. There were a lot of loopholes in his business's spreadsheets, but I managed to help and explain to him what was happening. He then tried to ask me to come and work for him, but I politely refused. I mean, I loved my job and I didn't see myself working for any other company. I tried asking him on social media. He never responded to any of my texts or calls. I wondered what had happened or what had he heard about that would make him act weird and cold towards me. My heart would always shut whenever I think about it, and it did hurt me a lot to be in the dark about what was eating him. Was I in love with the guy? Months passed. I got tired of waiting and crying over Eric. I mean, it was not like we were dating or something. So as hard as it was to forget about him, I tried. The guy had ghosted since I don't know when. Even the heart that loves also gets tired, right? What infuriated me the most was that he made me believe that I would somehow be his intimate partner, or we would be as close and tight as we were till eternity. But I had thought wrong. Instead, I got hurt and waited on something that was just a dream to me. So one day I was surprised when I got a call from Eric asking me to accompany him to the business gala that was outside the country. A side of me was angry at the fact that he had gone AWOL on me then. All of a sudden he called inviting me to a business gala dinner. Because I was kind of lonely and bored, I ended up accepting his invite. So Eric and I went to the United Arab Emirate, UAE, for the business trip. I fell in so much love with the country. It was so beautiful, and I even wished to move to it one day with my husband, of course. Eric had booked us separate rooms, which I appreciated a lot, even though I wished he booked us in one room. Later on, he asked me to wear it nicely. I was going to be his date at some business gala dinner. The man just did the unthinkable and gave me money to purchase a dress. As much as I was happy and comfortable with the way he was looking at me, I loved the dress I had chosen. After the gala dinner, we went to our separate rooms. My heart and soul longed for my husband, but he wasn't there. I tried calling him with an international number. He answered, but when he heard it was me, he dropped the call. So can you imagine how heartbroken I was when he did that? Before I went to the UAE, Jeff and I had a huge argument about him going to his parents' house. As I had finished taking a shower, Eric knocked into my room and asked me to help him with something urgently. Mind you, that time I was only in my hotel gown, so I went to open the door to let him in. He stared at me like he was looking at something he liked or loved. It really made me somehow crave for him and his touch. And I needed him, you know. I asked what he wanted me to help him with. He didn't answer me. Instead, he just complimented me and my body. That somehow made me feel beautiful because no guy had ever complimented me or my body. Not even my ex-boyfriend and my husband had last complimented my body after our honeymoon. Well, my ex-boyfriend was a womanizer, so he never cared about how my body looked, but instead he would always find a way to make me doubt myself. Almost my whole life I had been body shamed. You know, always being told and reminded how imperfect your body shape is and how bad I looked. My husband brought back that self-esteem that I had lost in my previous relationship. So hearing someone or having someone compliment me and my body always does something to me. It raises my self-esteem a little and it actually gets boosted. But on another thought, I would doubt someone who compliments my body would say it genuinely and mean it. I mean, because my ex-boyfriend and my husband would compliment me whenever he wanted some intimacy, then I would think he meant it, but things change whenever we get into an argument, or I find out that he was cheating. He would remind me how bad looking I was and how my body was badly shaped compared to the girls that he was cheating on me with. But the way Eric was looking at me made me think that he meant it, and he had been complimenting me since we went to the gala dinner that he had asked me to accompany him to. The way his stares were intense, they made me uncomfortable, so I excused myself. So I would go to the bathroom and change to proper clothes because I wouldn't, and I couldn't change in front of him since the hotel room has only one bedroom with an ensuite. When I got into an ensuite, I was able to breathe since I was holding my breath and felt goosebumps over my body. My body was hungry for him. I had planned to be angry at him and deny him some good loving until he explained to me why he had ghosted me. I didn't know why I felt like that, but I did. I mean, I had been dry in my Nana for more than 2 months. My husband was too busy to have time for me. Was I falling for him? But nah, I wasn't. After I had changed, I joined him in the room. We started working, going through what he wanted us to go through, but I felt his eyes stinging on my body. So I tried to distract him and get him to shift his focus. I asked if he had eaten so we could order. Instead of answering my question, he started touching my cheeks and brushing them. My heart was beating so fast to a point that I didn't even know how to react and what to do, so I just went mute. He started complimenting me again, telling me some sweet words. My mind just froze. I didn't even think of the circumstances that would happen because I missed him as much as he missed me, but I couldn't show him that. I felt butterflies on my stomach when he kissed me. To tell the truth, I don't remember and know what happened after, but I found myself kissing him back, but backed out after I had realized that I had made a huge mistake. I mean, I had to act as angry as I could be because I was still heartbroken and angry by the fact that he had ghosted me for no valid reason. Wasn't that being a coward? Eric started kissing me again, and that time it went too far because I was also feeling the heat. So imagine the drought and hunger for sexual engagement I had. It was bad. The kiss got intense to a point that no one was thinking about anything but was in the moment, and we made love. And my anger just vanished just like that. All my plans to be angry at him were no longer valid because my Nana betrayed me by longing for some intimacy with him. To tell the truth, I didn't regret any moment that I had with Eric. I mean, why would you feel guilty for something you both did and you both were adults? Plus, I was feeling lonely and sexually frustrated, so he helped me remember that I was still alive and I was still a woman even though I was a married man, but I cared less. One thing that I had regretted was that we were careless and too caught up in the moment to a point that we even forgot to use a protection. I didn't know if the guy had a sickness or what, meaning I risked getting sick and pregnant just to get in the moment. I was a fool, right? Months later, the thing that had happened in the hotel room in the United Arab Emirate, UAE, between Eric and I kept going on until we went back home. I won't lie and say I didn't enjoy every moment of it, but I did. Yes, what we did was wrong in every way, but I had a good time. Actually, I had the most splendid time of my life. What we did destroyed a lot of relationships, and I would always feel so bad about it. During those months, Eric and I continued seeing each other secretly, regardless of the outcome of it. So one cold summer day, Eric had invited me to his hotel room since he was around. Jeff was no longer the loving husband. I even suspected that he was cheating on me but couldn't get any proof. So as I was chilling and cuddling with Eric, we heard a knock and the person shouted that they were room service, so we ignored it, thinking it was the hotel helper. Eric asked the person to come back a bit later because we were busy with something. Later on, the same person came back and Eric went to open the door. To my surprise, it was not the room service, but Jeff himself. I didn't know how to react really, but his facial expression was full of anger and disappointment, I think. He didn't say anything. Instead, he asked to speak to me on the side. I didn't know what he wanted to speak about, and I didn't care because I had blocked his number just in case he came back to his senses and called me. I mean, he had gone to his parents' house, leaving me for way too long. Yes, I still had a lot of love for my husband, but I got tired of waiting for the train that was not going anywhere or making any progress. Jeff definitely felt betrayed and disrespected, but I couldn't continue helping myself sexually using toys. I needed some touch, but he was too busy to even notice when I tried my best to look appetizing and sexy for him. It was like I was trying to give a dog a bone or something to munch on, but the dog just looked at it as if it was something uninteresting to him. What Jeff was doing was hurting me to the core because even if I addressed it, he would come up with an excuse or ask that we talk some other time because he was tired. A lot had changed, and I was kind of scared that he may have gotten someone else. I know that I should have at least released him and divorced him, but Jeff was my true love and my soulmate. We argued until he got pretty angry and I accidentally got a slap from him. I couldn't believe it, I thought I was dreaming. The guy I had feelings for slapped me, though it was accidentally, but he did it in the end. After he slapped me, he furiously went to my affair, Eric, and started attacking him. It was a real mess, I tell you. After some time, Jeff left and told us that he would destroy us. What hurt me the most was when he started crying and told me that he was actually looking forward to spend the day with me, because it was actually our anniversary, and he had planned a celebration for us in the same hotel when he saw my car at the parking lot. He even revealed that when he saw my car, he tried calling me only to find out that I had blocked him. Then he asked his friend to track my number. That was how he found me. No lies that made me feel really bad because I had thought he didn't love me anymore or he was cheating on me for months. Then when he finds me with Eric, he confesses his plans for our marriage. It didn't make any sense and it still doesn't. But I regret everything. Time passed, things went south for me to a point that I found myself in between everything. I didn't know if I was going in or going out, if the sun was rising or setting. It was a mess. Yes, I was also part of the facade that had destroyed my marriage, but Eric was also part of it. I once received long text messages from one of Jeff's sister telling me how much I had disappointed Jeff and how much she loved me for her brother, only for me to thank him with a plate full of Shasterisk tea. I knew I had disappointed Kevin to the core, and it was really eating me up because the day he caught me with Eric in a hotel room. I had completely forgotten that it was our date of the anniversary. I didn't know, or must I say I didn't pay any attention to his on and off moods, going and coming back. I remember him asking what I would like to do on our anniversary, but I didn't really think that it would be so soon. I was caught up in Eric's ghosting act and the way I had missed him being inside me. So I did the dumbest thing I had ever done in my whole life. Days passed and I saw the news, and on the news they were reporting about an accident that had occurred not far from the hotel. When I looked closely at the car, I noticed the registration number, and I saw that it was Eric's car. The way the car looked, I was not sure if he was still breathing or not, but the reporter then said that the victim was badly injured and fighting for his life in hospital. I couldn't help but feel guilty because I didn't know what had caused the accident. But my conscience suspected that Jeff might be somehow involved, even though I didn't have anything to prove that. But I couldn't help it. A couple of days after Eric's accident, I got a call from the family attorney stating that I had been sued by my husband. I asked why he was suing me. She told me that she couldn't discuss the matter over the phone, so I had to come to the office. When I got into the attorney's office, she told me that Jeff was suing me for emotional distress, and he wanted $5,000 for the stress that I had caused him. I was also told that Jeff was going through depression and was taking antidepressants. She even showed me a doctor's file of Jeff, which was obviously fake. As I was still trying to wrap my mind about what the attorney had told me, I received lots of messages coming in at the same time. At first, I ignored them and thought that maybe it was Jeff's sister throwing tantrums at me. So when I got home, I had time to check my phone, and to my worst surprise, the messages were informing me that there were multiple amounts of money that had been withdrawn from my account. I tried asking myself who and how they could withdraw money on my accounts. I was distraught. I don't want to lie. A few days after that, I was going through a very rough patch. I was slowly losing myself and my sanity. I wanted to just follow my parents and pass on because everything was just too much. As I was busy having a pity party for myself, I received a very shocking video. The video showed Jeff Panel beating Eric. He was actually torturing the poor guy. I knew there and then that Jeff meant every word when he said he was not playing, when he said he was going to destroy us. I know that Eric was also involved in breaking Jeff's heart, but don't you think I was the one who deserved the punishment? I mean, I was the one who went on that dating app knowing that I was married. During those months when I was at home, bored, so I decided to check my social media because it had been a long time since I had checked my socials to see what was trending and going on in the world. The first thing I saw were pictures of me and Eric. Someone had posted them and wrote a lot of bad things about me. I suspected Jefferson because he was the only person who was pretty much angry at me and Eric. People were dragging my name to the mud to a point that I found myself in a very depressing stage. I wanted to just go away to an unknown continent where no one would know me. I was furious, angry, and hurt because whoever did that really ruined my life and my reputation. Days later, I decided to take my cash savings and use them to find out who had linked the pictures of me and Eric, only to find out that the hotel had cameras. All the rooms actually had cameras, including the bathroom, so the pictures were linked by Jeff with Jeff's sister's help. My name was tarnished to a point that if I were to try and pick myself up, it would be hard. About a week later, one of my friends told me that he had been arrested because he was running an illegal business while he took the one I was helping him with as a front. I mean, I didn't know he was a criminal or was running an illegal business. All I did was help him balance his business's spreadsheets and tax payments. Was I wrong for doing that? so I had to fix myself and try claiming back my life. After I had made the apology video, I sent it to Jeff's sister. I had her number when she texted me a long text swearing at me. I was feeling guilty. I should have listened to my friend, but I got selfish and ruined my own home. Worst part was that my suspicions about Eric became true because I had suspected that he was doing something, but I ignored all that and fell in the trap of his bed with him. I tried calling Jeff after some time with the hope that he would at least answer my call so I would apologize. So we talked and asked him to meet up with me so I would be able to show him how much I regretted everything that had happened between us. If I didn't give up my wedding vows and allowed desires to control me, maybe, just maybe, I would be living my happily ever after with Jeff, I know. And I lost a precious and perfect man just because I was weak, and Eric was there to satisfy or give me the satisfaction that I had never had. I regret it so much.